Welcome to the Achieve Results Now podcast, the podcast that gives you immediate actions you can take to start seeing life-shifting results now. Hey everybody, welcome to the Achieve Results Now podcast. This is Mark Cardone.
And Theron Feidt.
Happy New Year. I know this isn't our first episode of the new year, but this is our first recording of the new year. So
yes,
wishing everyone an exciting new year ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think as we are moving into January, one of the things that we see, and especially towards the end of January, beginning February, is the excitement of the new year wears off, and sometimes even the next week after New Year, which if you're listening to it when it comes out, that's basically where you'll be first or second week. You'll be like, I'm not going to the gym as often as I said I was going to go 4 days a week. Now I'm only going 3, or whatever, whether it's a New Year's resolution, whatever you picked up tends to curb off.
Well, we're recording this episode on January 7th. We are 3 days from National Quitters Day.
Ooh, nice.
Right, which is January 10th every year, which is the day that statistically people stop doing the things.
It's so nice that they have an actual day for it to celebrate.
So we have something to celebrate, right?
Yeah.
So but what I love about that day, and I always talk about this with people, is I go, that means if you're at the 10th or you're after the 10th and you've stopped, you shouldn't feel like it's just you, right? Like like you're part of the mass, right? But if you've made it past the 10th, then you're above and beyond what most people do, right? So it's only, so really when you think about that Quitters Day, it's really like a good perspective to say, hey, listen, it's not just me. I can still get back on the horse. I can still do it. Or look at me, man, I'm excelling. I'm doing better than what most people are doing. But that brings me to this episode where we're talking about quiet quitting.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, so what if I quit like 3 days after New Year? Like I've already quit.
I haven't even started
Am I like
good.
excellent? Like I'm super good because I beat everybody from quitting, or
you quit faster than everybody else.
Right.
I tell people there's some stuff. It's the 7th. I haven't even started a couple things yet. So do not beat yourself up. Every day is a new day.
Yeah.
But quiet quitting is usually used as in the workplace, right? It's when people do the bare minimum to not get fired. Right. It's basically like quitting your job, but you're not quitting. You're still going to be there and just exist. And I feel like with our goals, right, whether it's fitness, whether it's business, whether it's our relationships, really, I mean, heavily in relationships, you see people get into these comfort zones where we're basically just doing the minimum so that we don't get boosted out of our comfort zone, right? Which, I mean, it works, but I don't know that that's how we want to live our lives forward.
Right. Yeah. And I think some people may make the mistake of, well, I'm just kind of coasting right now, then I'm going to pick it back up. And there's something to say about that. After you achieve a big goal, you're not going to always go straight up or be climbing. There's going to be sometimes you go down a little bit or you flatten out and plateau. That's okay. As long as it's a planned thing, and as long as it doesn't become a habit, like you're saying, that you're just kind of going through the motions all the time. I think it's important that we're challenging ourselves in as many areas of our life as we can. Certainly challenge yourself in every single area that can be a little stressful, but if you take a couple at a time and really work at it, I think you're going to find success.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, I mean, a lot of this, pressure that we have comes from just these feelings of overwhelm, because we look at, a lot of times we look at the gap from where we are to where we want to be.
Right.
And that gap can be so overwhelming, that it just makes us say, you know what, I'm comfortable. I don't really want to take that leap. I don't want to do that next thing. So today we're really going to, I think I love this because we're focusing on 3 action steps to kind of reinvigorate that motivation. So that if you get to Quitters Day and you've stopped, you can now, find that passion to restart. Or if you're just one of those people who, hey, it's another year, I'm just feeling kind of meh, and I'm just going to keep coasting. This will help you get that extra oomph you need, to start moving in the right direction.
I was kind of surprised it's the 10th.
Yeah.
A week and a half in.
And
most people quit. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's so. And I don't remember exactly what the study was, but I think they did a study of a national gym chain, and that was when the
Yeah.
traffic like drastically reduced.
Wow.
So that's how they got that day.
Okay. All right. So next week, back to the gym for me
So, I know.
when all the other people aren't
So
there.
so it's
Perfect.
funny. So I mean, people who are listening to this know I do a lot on social media, and for real estate people, I always make the joke that the first 4 days of the new year are when every real estate person in the world makes the New Year's resolution that I'm going to post like multiple times a day on social media.
Yeah.
But by the fourth, they stop.
Yep.
Like it's
Yep.
over. So,
Yeah.
and I think other goals are even shorter lived than that. So
Yeah.
wherever you are, here we are. These are the steps to really,
Yeah.
get back into it.
Yeah. So step one is redefining success. And now this one, I think you have to be careful with this because redefining success, you can redefine it where, okay, if I just do one thing, I'm good, and then you're not trying, you're not pushing yourself, you're not getting better. But what we're really talking about is the expectations that you have
Yeah.
of yourself, right, on a daily basis. And then also, what do other people's expectations are, and you have to be careful that I think it's okay to live up to some other people's expectations of you. If you have a mentor, you have a coach, you have an instructor, I think that's good. If you know that person has your best interest in mind
Yeah.
and they're on you for certain things and they're holding you accountable and your feet to the fire, as they say, that's good. But if you're doing it out of some other guilt or some other reason, that can be bad.
Well, and I think that's a great point. I mean, because I think we that's why we hire coaches. That's why
Mm-hmm.
we bring on mentors, right? Because they have our best interest in mind and they set expectations for us and hold us accountable. But I think, another part of that is the expectations we put on ourselves, and these
Yeah.
goals that
Yep.
we put on ourselves that maybe we had a goal, especially I hear this all the time with like, I need to start a business this year. And you kind of
Yeah.
say, well, why do you need to start a business this year? And they
Right.
say, well, because I want to be wealthy. And you say, well, that's not necessarily like those two things are not necessarily
Right.
combined all the time,
Right.
So,
Yep.
making sure that the goals you have are goals you want, or at least
Right.
leading you to where you want to go. And I think,
Mm-hmm.
if you have a mentor, which, or even a boss who's pushing
Yep.
you, to achieve certain milestones, I think it's great. And listen, I'll say this: a good boss will never be upset if you question the kind of where is this goal heading me.
Yeah.
I mean, like we like as an employer, I like employees who are looking long term,
Yeah.
at what is the step.
Yep.
um
And I think that's a good point. That reminded me. I think that's a red flag,
yeah,
right? So if you have a mentor, a boss, or somebody, and you question them, and they get mad and upset, that is a huge red flag that they don't
right,
have your best interest in mind, right? If somebody's like, "Why do we need to do this?" As long as I mean, if they're disrespectful with it,
right,
I might have to choke them out, and then once they awake, then I'll tell them the reason why. But like if you're respectful to your boss, your mentor, your instructor, and you're quizzing them and asking them why, I have no problem with it,
yeah,
right? And so I think that's an important, just a little sidebar note
yeah,
there.
100%. Like I think questioning your goals within yourself, with your mentors, and not questioning them in a bad way, but just saying,
Right.
is this thing leading me to the place I want to go?
Yep.
And then setting those short, kind of small, achievable milestone
Right.
goals, will just help you redefine what success means to you.
Yep.
Because I
Yep.
think, we have this idea in our head so often that success is this thing, when in reality, if you go out into the world and you look at the people who have that thing, they don't always have success in other things.
Right.
So I think really redefining your goals and questioning and thinking through, is this something I actually want? Because if you're quiet quitting and you're sitting around not taking action, my gut says you might not really want that thing.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yep. So step two is finding your flow. Now this can be this step can take a little while, but finding your flow is a couple things that I think of. Is one is, what do you naturally enjoy?
Yeah,
And I'm not talking about you naturally enjoy sitting on your couch and watching TV. That's not
I
what I'm
do.
talking about.
I do.
Well, and you can enjoy that to a certain extent, but what do you like to do? What's your happy place? What hobbies and things like that, and then can you make and do some of those and still achieve your goals.
Yeah.
Okay. Martial arts is a lot like that. Martial arts, and one of the reasons, one of the many reasons I love it is it gets you in shape. You're around positive people. It builds relationships. It builds your confidence. I mean, there's so many other goals that it does, other than oftentimes your original reason for joining.
Yeah.
And like running is fine, but sparring 20 rounds is way better.
Yeah.
And
It's a lot more fun.
it not only does it achieve the same amount of fitness, I would also argue probably achieves a little bit better fitness because of the hit part of it,
Yeah.
the high intensity interval training, but also you're working on your skill. You're working on, something to sharpen your skill versus just running in a straight line.
Yeah.
And not to discount running, because that's an important thing, but there's many ways to get in shape, for instance.
Oh, for sure. And I think that's important to think about, because if you find yourself not taking action towards your goals, like we're 10, 15, 20 days into the month, and you just haven't really started taking action yet. A lot of it's because and you've also established that that's a goal you want. Kind of step two of that is maybe I'm afraid to do the thing
Right.
that I know I need to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get on the phone and make cold calls, right? If you're
Right.
in business, totally understand that. What
Yeah.
about going to a networking event? You still meet new
Right.
people, right?
Right.
It
Right.
accomplishes the same end,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but it's a different task that you're going to enjoy more.
Right.
I mean, and martial arts is a great example. If I want to get in shape, and the only thing I have in my head is, well, just going to start running, every day, and
Right.
I hate running, you know, trying martial arts, I might go, oh, I like this a lot better, and it
Yeah.
achieves the same thing. So,
Right.
you know, this is a lot of trial and error, and I think part of life, and part of growth is finding this flow of things you enjoy doing that also coalesce with your goals.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's an important thing to examine and find.
Right. For sure. For sure. Yep. And then step three is, and this is an important one, and I think this is one that probably people don't do as often or consistently, and that's celebrating your wins. And in other words, you're anchoring those victories. And this is important, and it's easy to discount. You're like, okay, yep, and then you move on to the next one. Especially if you're an achiever,
Yeah.
you just want to move on to the next goal. But it's important that you're anchoring them strong.
Well, and I think achievers are the biggest, criminals here, right? Because we look at our achievements and they're never big enough.
Yeah.
They're never good enough. The run was never fast enough.
Right.
The sparring rounds were never successful enough. Even
Right.
even if we did well, it's, oh,
Yeah.
I could have done better. And I think we do this to ourselves all the time. So I think really controlling that self-talk, to say, hey man, like no one's out there to be your hype
Right.
person, right? No one's
Right.
out there to
Right.
lift you up and clap for you except for you.
Hmm.
I mean, Mel Robbins' High Five Habit, great book.
Yeah.
Give yourself that high five, man. I see people out there doing it every day, and when I say how are the goals coming, I'm behind.
Hmm.
It's okay to be behind as long
Right.
as you're moving forward. That's all that
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you mentioned positive self-talk.
Yes.
That's something I think people discount as well. And I think being aware of what are you saying to yourself, and what you're saying to yourself is going to affect how you feel, your emotions, and your emotions are going to affect your actions.
Yeah.
And so it's got to start with you. If you're somebody that needs praise from other people, um, to be motivated, you're not where you need to be. You need to work on, like you said, praising yourself, being your own cheerleader, being your hype man, whatever term you want to use. And I think some people, why they don't do it is they don't want to be cocky and arrogant sounding, right?
Yeah.
So what we're saying is you don't say it to other people. You don't say it out loud so other people can hear, like, I am the best.
I'm so good.
Mark, did you know that I was the best?
I'm
I
amazing.
am. You don't. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about self-talk in your head. And if you're alone, you can say it out loud. I mean, that's something. It's funny, some of the things that they used to do that do work to a certain extent. You look yourself in the mirror, you look yourself right in the eyes, and you talk to yourself about positive things. That actually does make a difference.
Yeah.
Right. It does work. It is corny, as weird as that all sounds. It makes a difference. If you want to get better at public speaking, you can public speak in the mirror and watch yourself as you're doing public speaking. I did that years ago to help my public speaking. So there's a lot you can do just by yourself to improve, but it starts with you.
Yeah, because I mean, I think there's a place for self-honesty. Like I think there's a time and place to sit down and be honest with yourself about
For
your
sure.
progress, results, and goals. Like I think
Right.
we have to do that, but we don't have to do it every morning in front of the mirror, right? Like
Right.
there
Yeah.
are times when you can just look at yourself and say, you know what, I kicked ass yesterday.
Yeah.
On to the next thing, right?
Right.
Because I more often than not, I would bet that average people, when they wake up in the morning, they're immediately thinking, I didn't work out yet. I already skipped breakfast. I'm already behind. And they go through that self-talk of this is why I'm trash. Right?
Right.
Like, and not literally, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
average people tend to just gravitate that way. So if
Hmm.
the first thing we're doing, in a non-Stuart Smalley way, is waking up, looking ourselves in the mirror and saying, hey man, I worked out yesterday. I had a great day. I rocked it. Let's see how today can beat that, right? You're
Yeah.
gonna approach the day just with a different energy, a different
Hmm.
vibration, a different,
Yeah.
motivation to do things.
Your Stuart Smalley reference, you're dating yourself for
I
sure.
know.
All the
It's
younger listeners are gonna be like, "What? Who's
Go watch
Stuart?"
Stuart Smalley.
Yeah, look it up. SNL, Stuart Smalley. It's
Yeah.
it's it's pretty
Or the
funny.
van down by the river. I forget that
Yeah,
guy
that's
too. The
funny too.
motivational guy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's an awesome one. Yeah, either one of those. That's when SNL was great. Right? Of course, all of us old people always say that. Back
Yeah.
in my day.
Back in my day, it was great.
So, all right, let's review. I think we covered the details. So,
Yeah.
so 3 steps, and this is about quiet quitting. This could be any of your goals, and it's how to reignite your motivation. So, step one is redefine success, and then in there we talked about laying out your expectations and setting small, achievable goals to build your confidence and momentum.
Absolutely. Number two, find your flow. Make it fun. Find things that you enjoy doing that still lead you to the end goals that you're trying to achieve. Really look for those. Look for those unique opportunities to enjoy the process to move forward.
And then step three was celebrate your wins. And in there it was really we hit on your self talk. Pay attention to make sure it's positive. Make sure you're your own cheerleader. Make sure you're the one that is getting yourself motivated. And then anybody else that talks to you about and how great you are, that just adds to it.
Absolutely. And that wraps up this episode of the Achieve Results Now podcast. No quiet quitting your goals this year. Hopefully you get out and do it. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for listening. Hop over to our website at www.achieveresultsnow.com to get your free copy of our book, Ignite Results, 4 specific daily actions to help you achieve results now. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Achieve Results Now. Thanks for listening, commenting, and subscribing. Now get out there and achieve results now.